Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the High Earning Housewife podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Empowers, and thank you for tuning in. So today we are talking about your menstrual cycle and how you aren't going crazy when it's your time of the month. So the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, because this morning I was talking to a friend of mine who has just been going through a lot mentally for the past week or so. And so I responded to her message and she was saying, she's been irritable with her husband. She's been irritable with her kids, with herself. She just kind of feels bad and she was asking for prayer. So I prayed for her and then I said, I don't know if this is around your time of the month, but everything is going to be okay. And she immediately responded and was like, it actually is my time of the month. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I have talked to my sisters, my friends, who when they get into a mental space where they feel kind of down or moody or irritable or discouraged, I always ask them, is it your time of the month? To which they usually say yes. And so I just want to take a second to talk about that because I want to open your eyes to something as a woman to help you navigate those times of the month with grace. And so I started studying menstrual cycles and periods around probably last year when I got really intrigued when I learned that women's menstrual cycles also follow the cycles of the moon. And when I found that out, I said, wow, that is so interesting how God created our bodies, women's bodies, to correspond with the moon. And so when the moon is in different cycles, a lot of time our bodies correlate and correspond with the moon. Now, something that I found very interesting as well is years ago when I was preparing to give birth to my son, I was researching natural birth. And I came across a book on natural birth, and it was ancient wisdom from centuries ago. And it talked about the different cultures and how they prepare to have a baby. And I remembered when I was reading that book, it talked about like women in Africa and women in Asia, that they knew their baby was coming based off of the moon. So they didn't have doctors and OBGYNs to tell them they're 40 weeks or they're 38 weeks, they're about to give birth. They literally had to look at the moon and they were able to determine when they were going to give birth. Another interesting thing is when I did prepare to give birth to my son, I did want to have a natural birth and I did have that. That video is on YouTube, but I also hired a doula. And I remember having a conversation with my doula at about 38 weeks. I was getting close to 39 weeks. And she was like, you're not going to have your baby yet because it's not a full moon yet. And I was like, wait, what? She said, no, the moon, I don't know if it had to be a full moon or whatever type of moon, but she said the moon has to be in a certain place. Or she was saying when the moon is in a certain place, more women are likely to give birth. And so I found that so fascinating. But that's not the point of this video. But I just wanted to tell you that there is so much ancient research and ancient wisdom around the fact that women's bodies actually correlate with the cycles of the moon and nature. And so what I want to do is encourage you to keep track of your periods. And here is why. When I got my period at, 13 years old, I think I was in middle school, which that was just a very basic experience. I remember I was downstairs at my house and I went to the restroom and I was like, oh, what's going on? So I went upstairs to my mom and I was like, Mom, I used the restroom and I see blood. Like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, you started your period. And mind you, my mom has 4 girls. So this is like nothing new to her. So she said, oh, you started your period? Don't worry. Take a shower. I'll be right back. She runs to Walmart, picks me up some pads and some body spray. And then she kind of walks me through how to navigate that. But anyway, at that time, she also told me to use my calendar and write the start date of every period. She said, you always want to document that. Do you know, since the age of 13 years old, I have documented when I started my period. And my periods have been very regular, every 21 to 28 days. And the reason why she said that is because a lot of people track their period, one, to plan events, to understand, if they're tracking for pregnancy. So there's just it's just a thing that women do. But the point of this video is to understand that sometimes, and for some women, when it comes close to your time of the month, or when it is your time of the month, you have a propensity to be a little bit more irritable and be a little bit more moody, or you feel like you want to be a little more introverted, right? Or you feel like you have specific cravings, or your mindset isn't off. I'm doing this podcast and this video to tell you you're not going crazy. And if you're tracking your periods, when you have that feeling of, man, I feel kind of off, you can calculate and say, oh, I know why, because I'm going to start my period. Therefore, you can give yourself some grace during that time. And so what I recommend is that not only you track your menstrual cycles so you can give yourself grace, and so you don't think that a temporary time of vulnerability is going to last for a lifetime. I can't tell you how many women I've talked to who it was their time of the month and they were trying to redesign their whole life because they thought that feeling in that present moment was going to be the feeling forever. When you realize, oh, this is just my time of the month, this too shall pass, you can navigate it accordingly. Women's bodies are like seasons, right? So, in the summer season, you're like, oh, I'm lit. I want to be out in these streets, #HotGirlSummer, right? But in the winter, it's almost like you're a cocoon. You want to be inside, you want to hibernate. And throughout the month, you have to think of your body as going through those different seasons, okay? So when it is almost your time of the month or your time of the month, you can allow yourself to be a little bit more introverted, to not expose yourself to things that will trigger you or that will cause you to be anxious, and say, you know what? I'm going to kind of guard my energy, my space, my heart, because I know that this is a sensitive time for me. And so someone like me, I will I like to keep track of my menstrual cycle for when we're doing vacations, right? Like, I don't want to be on vacation irritable. I don't want to be on vacation and it's my time of the month. So you can also plan social outings around that. If you're so in tune with your body, you can know, no, I don't want to fill up my calendar with social events when I know this is going to be my time of the month and I know I'm a little more sensitive during this time. I would rather practice self-care and just guard myself. You have the right to do that. Even me as a business owner and content creator, I know there's like certain times of the month where I feel like it's summer, right? Like, I am on it. I'm filming content. I'm filming videos. But when it's my time of the month, I don't feel like doing none of that, right? Like, I feel unmotivated. I am not trying to be super productive. I literally get done what I need to get done, but I am not mega Ashley, right? And so when I know that, it's like, oh, well, I need to film my videos and film and batch my content at a certain time of the month, because it doesn't happen every month, but there may be a time during the month where I don't feel like doing anything. And I'm not going to beat myself up if I'm going to spend the day kind of lounging and relaxing and taking it easy. As a woman, you do not have to force yourself to always be an alpha, grind, get it done mode. Our bodies weren't built like that. Our minds weren't built like that. We were built we're cyclical beings, just like the moon, to relax, to rest, to harvest, to plant. You understand what I'm saying? I hope this is making sense to you. So you can plan social outings or heavy times for business activity around your menstrual cycle. You have the right to do that. You also need to be observing yourself. Oh, okay, I know my menstrual cycle is about to come. How am I feeling? I mean, even if you need to keep a journal, you can do that as well. And understand, give yourself grace and allow yourself to be cocooned and then be a butterfly when you feel like, oh, I'm back. Sometimes you need to rejuvenate and recharge. And to me, it's so interesting that when it's my almost my time of the month, I have specific cravings, okay? Specific cravings. But when that time passes, I don't crave them anymore. And I don't beat myself up for indulging in a little something extra because my body is asking for it. You understand what I'm saying? And so the last thing that I want to recommend is taking your vitamins, right? I'm an advocate of taking vitamins. I literally take probably 13 vitamins a day. But among those vitamins are a multivitamin. I take a fish oil vitamin, magnesium, folic acid. Like all of those things are very good for your hormones and for your body. So when it is your time of the month, your hormones aren't going so crazy because you're fueling your body with the right nutrients. And so drinking a lot of water, taking your vitamins, speaking life over yourself and honoring your body by giving yourself grace will help you during certain times of the month. So really, I just wanted to do this to remind you, you are not crazy. And if you go through times during the month where you feel unmotivated, do not beat yourself up. And in fact, what you need to be doing is honoring that. And so I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. And I just want you to share this with a girlfriend, okay? Because it blows my mind how many women they're not in tune where they're going through their months thinking that, oh, I need to get on antidepressants, or, oh, something's really wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with you. You just need to honor what your body is asking of you, and it's just to rest. So thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.